We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to support this Rebel Outpost, if you want to support this home for the college football sickos with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, hit that $sign where you make your comments, and I'll get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome in everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend. We are going to be making our picks week 6. Right now, we're going to start off our program. The PATC Einsteins. You all are 33 and 43. My record is 35 and 41. No, it's not a good record against the spread, but it's the best one I've had this late in the year for a very, very long time. It is Greg the Gold time. We are going to be doing 10 games. Not 13, not 14, not 16 like we've been doing. We're going to do 10 football games. There's only 10 football games that I felt comfortable on picking. And no, one of those games is not the Buckeyes and the Golden Gophers. We're not going to pick that game. We are going to let we are gonna let the Buckeyes sleep. Let them rest. They just went to Washington, right? Very impressive. They're looking at the Illinois game. Let them look ahead to Illinois. I don't want to say anything else about the game. Just let the Buckeyes sleep. Let them relax. If their alarm clock doesn't work in the morning of Saturday, October 4th, it's okay. It's all right. So we're only doing 10 football games, but man, those are big football games. After we make our selections, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on out there in the internet world. I don't know what's going out there in the message board world. I hope this has nothing to do, and I'm trying to be polite here. Hopefully it has nothing to do with genetics. But something is going on. I am being inundated. And I have been for a while, but I just kind of, I get it. People are impatient. People are stressed. People are nervous. People want to know what's going to happen. And I keep saying that peek around the corner, nothing is done, nothing is settled. And yesterday I did a show, a very short live show. I just wanted to put it out there as quick as I possibly could. Schools are coordinating with each other. They're talking with each other, which leads me to believe some other things might be happening, which I will get to. But now this has been going on for weeks, but especially last night, this morning, the comments, the DMs, some X postings. Oh, I don't know what's going on. People are saying, great. I mean, Greg, it's nice that you gave that information out, and maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but it doesn't matter, Greg, because this school has been offered to this conference already. That school has been offered to that conference already. And schools are just waiting on a better offer. And what the hell are you talking about? What is going on? That's not... None of that has happened. This is college football peek around the corner. But I'm not going to take you all on for a ride on things that have not happened. It's like some people are taking a whole lot of people on a ride. That's what's going on. I am not disrespecting North Carolina or Virginia or Miami or Florida State. I'm not disrespecting anybody by saying that nothing is done, nothing is settled. No, there's been no offers. That's not how it works. And it ain't just a couple of people. If I would not be bringing this up today, if it was just a couple of people, it is literally 80% of my DMs lately. If it's not about some breaking news on a posting that some reporter has made that somebody wants me to know about, and I thank you for keeping your head on the swivel and giving me these DMs. If it ain't about that, 80% of this as well. I've heard that so-and-so, we've got an offer, we're just waiting it out. I've heard that our school is, we're going to be picking the best option, and the Big Ten better pick it up, or we are going to go with the SEC, or we know that we're going to go to the SEC because we've been offered pro rata and ba. That is like, and maybe it's my fault because I did this show yesterday and people are like, it doesn't matter, Greg, because it's all done, it's all settled. No, it's not. It's not. What is going on out there? Who is Is it, I've been told that there are a couple of websites, properties of some big major players of a few of these teams, and they're saying, I don't know what's going on. They're giving out bad information, horrific information. And if I'm wrong, I'll come on here whenever, and I'll say in the camera, but I'm not wrong. That's the problem with this. I wish I was. Nobody has been offered jack, except for Notre Dame. Notre Dame knows exactly what they would get if they said yes to the Big Ten. Nobody else knows. There's no offers. There can't be any offers. We're really gonna hit this on the back end of the monologue, okay? Because again, a lot of people, I'm talking about a lot of people are being fooled right now. And then I see it, and then people are saying, Greg, why are you saying this when this has been done? None of it's been done. When college football peek around the corner broke the news on USC, and we talked about it March 31st, April, May, June of 2022. We did not say that USC has been offered by the Big Ten. We didn't even say that because we knew it wasn't true. We just saw where it was going. But the USC did not get an official offer until they were ready to say yes. That's how it works. Negotiations going on. But the offer doesn't come first and then the negotiate. Washington and Oregon did not get an offer until that morning when they knew, when the Big Ten knew that Washington and Oregon had an understanding of what they would get from the Big Ten if they agreed to join the Big Ten. Washington and Oregon talked with each other. They both said we better take the deal. And then they went to the Big Ten, and then the Big Ten said, okay, we officially offer you. The Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference, you might hate them, you might like them, you might despise them, you might think they're idiots, you might think that Silent Tony's a moron, you might think that Greg Sankey is a bully, whatever you want to think, it's all fine here at Peek Around the Corner. But they're not going to be offering a school and then waiting around for the answer month after month after month. Are you kidding me? That's what people believe out there. It's crazy. And it's starting to build momentum. And there's a couple, I'm not going to name the websites, the message board. People have been sending me stuff. This insider said this insider said that. What are they talking about? That's not... So it's difficult because this is college football peek around the corner. We are not infallible. We're not infallible, but we know there's been no offers. So I'm going to hit this very hard at the back end of the monologue. Notre Dame isn't joining the Big Ten, and they may not, Devil Frog. They may not, but they do have the numbers. If they said yes, they know what they would get paid. North Carolina does not have an offer from the Big Ten. They're the number one targets. I know that the Big Ten, I have reasons to believe that North Carolina is talking to the Big Ten and the SEC. But there's no offers. North Carolina does not have an offer and then they can shop and compare with the SEC at this time. North Carolina they don't have an offer. They don't have an offer. They're in great shape to get an offer. They don't have an offer. They don't. Greg made the Big Ten mad in 2022. I made everybody mad. I'm getting people madder right now. But somebody's got to do it, so it might as well be me. We're already the most unpopular college football YouTube channel in the country. We might as well get a little bit more unpopular. But there is, and again, we're not infallible here. I'm not saying that I have the complete truth and all that stuff. You know, there might be things going on that we do not know at Peek Around the Corner, okay? But I mean, I still got people coming at me and saying, Genetics said that Florida State had an offer before the settlement was done, and Florida State's going to the Big Ten, Greg. Don't you know that? And they're being serious. And I'm like, are you serious? And they say, yes. What is going on out there? That's the Southeastern Conference is not going to make an offer to a school until they know that they got the votes to pass them, that they know what they can give them, that they know the revenue that might be coming in because they're inclusion, and they know that the school is going to accept and get it all passed with their board of regents or the board of governors, whatever they need. The SEC does not offer anybody until it can be exercised in a short amount of time. Same thing with the Big Ten. They're not passing out offer, guys, and a school is sitting there going, let me think about it, Greg Sankey. Let me think. I'll get back to you, Sankey. That is not happening. And there is so many people who believe it's happened. And I don't, I'm trying to ignore, but when I get inundated, especially after yesterday, I'm like, something really, there's a lot of bad information out there. And it can't be just from Genetics. I mean, that guy, it can't be just from him, right? It better not be. I mean, are people still falling for his act out there? I mean, people got to know now. Even all the Florida State Seminole fans, they got to know that Florida State did not receive an offer from the Big Ten when Genetics told the world that they got their people know that, right? Right? No? But it ain't. I know it's just saying him because I've gotten inundated from other fan bases, connecting me with other message boards, other sites, saying that this school has an offer and they're waiting on it. They're waiting on it. Somebody has told me a Virginia Cavalier, supposed insider, I'm trying to be polite, has told me Virginia has got an offer from the SEC but is waiting on the Big Ten. This insider has got quite a following. Virginia's got an offer from the Southeastern Conference. And I happen to think Virginia's going to end up in the Southeastern Conference. But Virginia doesn't have an offer. There is, I don't know what is going on. There is an enormous amount of bad. I think people are trying to rush to the end, and we're not there yet. I keep saying nothing is imminent. Nothing's been done. Nothing has been settled. And I say that because I keep poking and prodding, and the people that I trust who have helped me get this track record, they keep saying nothing's been done, nothing's been settled, things are fluid, things are active. But there are no offers out there, except for Notre Dame. They know exactly what they would get if they would accept right now. So we'll get into it. And I've gotten this from Jansen Roberts. I appreciate that comment. Because let me go into this, and then we'll get to our picks, and then we're going to go back into this, okay? And I've had people say that to me, Greg, it's not really an official offer. It's a MOU. It's a memorandum of understanding. It's just there's an assurance. We know you're going to come. Let's just take North Carolina, or whatever school you want to take. Let's just take North Carolina. North Carolina knows exactly what they would get from the Big Ten. They know the invitation is there. There's an assurance that if you want to say yes, the door is open and everything. Does North Carolina know that the Big Ten is very interested in them? Yes. Top target besides Notre Dame. But other than that, there is no offer. There is no numbers on paper. There's nothing to sign on to. The Big Ten isn't going to get into a bidding war with the Southeastern Conference until maybe the very end game. Florida State, which is one big one that people keep saying, there is no Big Ten assurance for Florida State. There's none there. It's not. It might happen. Florida State might go to the Big Ten. They're not the number one targets, but there is no offer out there. There hasn't been. It isn't happening. There is no current offer out there for Florida State or for Clemson or for Miami or for Georgia Tech. There is no there's nothing assured in this game except for Notre Dame if they say yes. If North Carolina called the Big Ten right now or called the SEC, things would get really hurried up, right? The Southeastern Conference would want to make sure they would present some numbers to North Carolina. North Carolina would go to the Board of Governors. The Southeastern Conference would want to make sure that North Carolina could get it all nailed down. And then when North Carolina would tell the SEC, we got the votes, we can go, then the Southeastern Conference say, this is your offer. The Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are not going to offer any school and then wait around for months. Jansen Roberts, they're number one. The Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten does not know what the college football playoff format is going to look like for 2026. They don't know what it's going to look like for 2027. They don't know if it's going to expand. They don't know the money involved if it does expand. If the playoffs does not expand for 26 and 27, the chances of these conferences expanding drops down significantly until the playoffs do expand. And then you've got the SCORE Act. Does it pass? or maybe it doesn't pass. And then you got, is there any other way to codify the NCAA versus house rules? You've got to have some idea of the costs, some cost certainty before you expand. You've got to have some idea of the new revenue that could come in before you expand. There are too many question marks right now. You can have only so many talks. No, I did not say that, Expedition Greg. I did not say that. I said we don't have any information that Florida State is working with Clemson, Virginia, North Carolina. They very well might be. They very well might be. We just don't have them. We don't have much information on Florida State at all lately, to be honest with you. Pretty much all the information that we get when it comes to Big Ten stuff does not have Florida State involved. And then when it comes to this, we don't really have much on Florida State. It doesn't mean that Florida State isn't work. We've said it at Peek Around the Corner that we speculated that the Florida State and Miami, that blend would be beautiful in the Big Ten, and I would not eliminate completely the chances of Miami and Florida State talking with each other, communicating with each other on an invite to the Big Ten. Because those, we've been told the door was open to us. We were told those two universities are not at war with each other at all. I think the fans, obviously it's a huge rivalry. But we don't have much information on Florida State, to be honest with you. But they don't have an offer from the Big Ten. That has been getting, that was, I'm shocked that people still believe that. I'm utterly shocked at it. And it's not a shot at Florida State. It isn't. The Big Ten literally is not going to offer. They're going to. Got it. Come on. This thing isn't working. You're talking about big... Okay. During the meeting, there's some breaking news here. During the meeting, the commissioners voted 3-2 to authorize the city manager to negotiate potential sale of the Tallahassee Memorial Hospital to Florida State University. Okay, so that happened. Big news, no question about it. Big news. I think we anticipated all that to happen, right, in the last couple of weeks. Big news. Is that it? Hold on. For some reason, my DMs having a hard time with my DMs here. Here we go. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Time out. Everybody. Okay. Well, you know what? We're going to have to drop that right now. Breaking news. breaking news. Breaking news. Again, every time we come on live, something happens. Thank you, Chef Maul. Thank you, everybody who sent this to me. Ross Dellinger, Pete Thamel. The Big Ten has been in discussion for months with several private capital firms to infuse upwards of $2 billion into its schools that would require a 10-year extension of the grant of rights in a tiered distribution structure, sources tell Yahoo Sports, as ESPN has reported. Let me get to, and again, well, another reason why there's been no offers out there, because the Big Ten has been working on this private equity deal connected to the international deal. We're all going to get into that. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. We're going to get to the ESPN. Thank you, John Grove. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for keeping your head on a swivel. Let me change the title of this program. Breaking news. Big Ten. I apologize. We're going to get into it. This is big news. And it's not only big news for the Big Ten. Hold on. Okay. All right. Breaking news. For those, thank you, Opie. Thank you, everybody, for your donations. Kenneth Maynor. I'm going to get to them in a moment. First, we got to do the breaking news. But I just want to say to John Till, Kenneth Maynor, Opie, I do appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I got a delay. Just give me a moment here. Please give me a moment. Pete Thamel and Dan Wenzel, ESPN. The Big Ten is in discussions. Let me pop this up a little bit bigger so people can actually read it. The Big Ten is in discussions about a private capital deal that would infuse at least $2 billion to the league and its schools, sources told ESPN on Wednesday. The discussions include a 10-year extension of the league's grant of rights into 2046, sources told ESPN, which would ensure long-term stability in the Big Ten. According to sources, the private capital deal and the grant of rights extension have been discussed for months and presented in multiple forms. A deal in the grant of rights extension would also be a distinct blow to the outside entities attempting to form a super league around college sports. While there is support from nearly the entire league, according to sources, a few of the league's biggest brands, including Ohio State and Michigan, are still in discussions with the league. The aim is to have unanimous support before a vote, sources told ESPN. A decision either way on the private capital deal is expected in the upcoming weeks from the schools in the Big Ten, sources said, and nothing is considered imminent or certain. There are 3 different private capital entities being considered by the Big Ten, sources told ESPN. The league has not taken a vote on any plan. Like most businesses, athletic departments can always use more money to cover ever-increasing costs. The need is particularly acute now for schools with middle and lower revenues within the league after the NCAA's recent settlement of legal cases that have led to the direct revenue sharing with athletes. The setup being discussed, sources said, is that this will essentially be the formation of a new commercial entity within the Big Ten that would house all revenue generation, such as media rights, sponsorships, and league revenue streams. The working title of the new entity is Big Ten Enterprises, told ESPN. The private capital company would get money back through the new entity through annual distributions in proportion with its financial stake. The Big Ten would essentially have 20 equity shares, comprising the 18 schools, the league, and this investor. Sources told ESPN that this setup eliminates the need to give an outside investor a specific portion of control over decisions or board seats, something that college presidents have generally been uncomfortable with. Think of it this way. The conference is not selling a piece of the conference, a league source told ESPN. Traditional conference functions would remain 100% with the conference office, scheduling, officiating, and championships. The new entity being created would focus on business development, and it would include an outside investor with a small financial stake. I got a feeling about the outside investor. I'll get to that in a moment. One of the philosophies behind the move is that the Big Ten believes its ability to generate revenue holistically has been underserved, and they'd be sharing a small percentage of the greater profits back with the outside investor. It also helps the league potentially better scale and leverage its 18 members. Another source familiar with the Big Ten discussions summed it up this way. We're underselling the strength of what we do the way we are structured. This is a way to organize ourselves better. As a micro example of that, Nebraska Athletic Director Troy Dannon was quoted in an Associated Press article last week on the looming discussions of teams wearing corporate logos on their jerseys. If you jump in now, I'm going to get a little bit of the money because of the jersey patches. I would really like to see if there's an opportunity for a conference to put all those jersey patch rights together, and all of a sudden they're worth a whole lot more money to the institutions when 18 are playing in just of one. In other words, bundle up bundle up the contract with whatever corporate logo, whatever corporation wants to put a logo on your jersey. The potentially groundbreaking plan, which has been presented across the 18-member conference over the last few months, calls for immediate cash payments to each school. The amount on a formula that factors in numerous variables, including current budgets. The amount of those payments is still being discussed, but the basic format, sources told ESPN, is believed to be tiered. All schools in the league are expected to receive at least a 9-figure amount up front. 9 figures. That's a hell of a lot of money. 9 figures? Jeez. 9 figures. The final financial details are still being discussed as the bigger brands are expected to receive more money. Our membership has clearly expressed the need to modernize the operations and structure of our conference to ensure that the Big Ten remains best positioned to offer the highest level of athletic and academic excellence in a rapidly evolving landscape. A Big Ten spokesperson told ESPN in a statement when asked about private capital. Over a year ago, we initiated a comprehensive evaluation of our practices to identify partnerships that could secure the financial stability of our member institutions and allow us not only protect, but expand opportunities for our student athletes. This is an ongoing process, and we remain committed to finding a path that strengthens the conference. Okay, there's a lot to get through. There is a whole lot to get through. Let me first take this opportunity. Thank you, George Holton. The college football Ferris wheel is crazy, Greg. Thank you for the $2 holla. John Till. Greg the Hammer Flugard putting Brutus in a figure four leg lock, stealing his girlfriend and pulling off in a red Porsche 356. Thank you for the $5 holla, John Till. Appreciate it. Kenneth Maynard. Duke works quietly behind the scenes as a private school. Not stunned if they are in a league with their peers. North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson should be a concern. Thank you for your $5 holler, Kenneth Maynard. I appreciate it. Opie. Evening two-time Greg the Gold Champ. I was just talking with Alfred E. Newman, and he convinced that it's a mad, mad world in the PATC chat room community. Here's some nickels for all those hauls you will have to get for that sore throat from here on out. Thank you, Opie. Thank you for the massive, massive super chat. Osceola Trucka, John Teal, Kenneth Maynard, Opie, and again, your creative writing. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Opie, thank you so very much. Massive, massive donations to start us off today on a start of a month that looks like it's going to be a crazy, crazy month. Okay. Let's talk about this. Okay? Let's talk about this. Number one. So can we forget, can we at least forget about the idea that there are Big Ten offers out there? There isn't. I mean, this is just one massive reason why there isn't. Because the Big Ten is like, they're working on things. They're not ready. They're not ready. They're not ready for expansion. They're not ready. They're just, I believe they're going to expand. I believe the Southeastern Conference is going to expand. I think the Big 12 is going to expand. I think the ACC is going to backfill. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. We're going to keep poking. But there are no offers out there except for Notre Dame. Okay? And this example here is the biggest one you could possibly have. We are going to push that aside for the rest of the day. All right? Now, unless you want to super chat or give me a call on why you think your school has a current offer to the SEC of the Big Ten. These schools are positioning themselves. North Carolina is positioning themselves. Virginia is. Duke is. Georgia Tech is. Florida State is. Clemson is. Even Stanford, possibly Kansas, possibly Utah. Maybe even a couple of the Texas schools. These schools are all trying to position themselves. There are no offers. Nothing is done. Nothing is settled. But I'm not going to talk about that again because we've got this major, major story. $2 billion private capital deal. Now, while there is support from nearly the entire league, according to sources, a few of the league's brands, including the Buckeyes in Michigan, are still in discussions with the league. Well, you're going to have to get everybody on board, right? You're going to have to get everybody on board. You're going to push that. You're going to push that ground rights. What was it? All the way to what? 2046? Was that the number? What was the number? You're going to have to get everybody on board. The 2046. You're going to have to get everybody on board. It's going to be tiered payments, right? It's going to be tiered payments, right? So the bigger brands are going to get more money. So Michigan and Ohio State's going to get the most, right? They've been there the longest. They're the biggest brands. And then Penn State, right? Oregon and USC, Washington, they're going to get they're probably in the next tier. I'm just speculating here. You know, they're going to get more money because their value is worth more to the private capital firm or whatever that is bringing in this cash infusion. So they're going to get more money. And I'm going to take you back to this. Remember what Mark Coyle said? You remember what Mark Coyle said? He expects the Big Ten to expand at some point, right? Our friends at Oregon and Washington wanted so badly to be in the Big Ten that they're getting half the media revenue. I mean, think about that, Coyle said. Then he said, I think Minnesota is very well positioned. We are a charter member of the Big Ten. You know how many people came to me and said, Greg, when they come out with this Big Ten tier payment, when it comes for the next media contract, and it looks like in this new structure of the Big Ten, maybe Minnesota ain't going to be at the bottom of that tier payment because they are a charter member. And maybe Mark Coyle is alluding to that. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But Mark Coyle talked about Minnesota is well positioned in the Big Ten because they're a charter member. Maybe Minnesota ain't going to be at the bottom. Maybe next to the bottom. We'll see. But you got to get Michigan and the Buckeyes on board, obviously. They're going to have to get a little bit more scratch. They're going to have to get a little bit more money. $2 billion. If every school is set at least $2 billion. At least $2 billion. And then said every school is expected to get at least a 9-figure. That is $100 million. A $100 million cash infusion. And then that who's ever given that money is going to have 1/20th of the equity of the Big Ten. The Big Ten Conference is going to have a piece. That equity, that whatever that private capital firm is going to have a piece. And then there are 18 schools that are going to have a piece. So if this happens, again, the schools are going to be running the conference. But when it comes to expanding we just got this information. We got this information. We're going to go ahead and speculate. I'm going to open up the phone lines. But if they bring other schools in, which I think they're going to, I really think the Big Ten wants to expand, really, then I think maybe that I guess my question is, does that private capital firm, do they have a voice in who they expand with? I mean, they're just giving up. They're putting a cash infusion of $2 billion, at least $2 billion. Maurice Simmons says yes. Now, again, and I've been extension to the league's grant of rights into 2046. A decision either way is expected in the upcoming weeks. Nothing is considered imminent or certain. It may happen, it may not happen. It's up in the air. There are 3 different private capital entities being considered by the Big Ten. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and speculate. First of all, let me read this. The working title for the new entity is Big Ten Enterprises. Private capital company would get money back to the new entity through annual distributions. Okay. We've been through all that. Wow. Big news. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to speculate that one of the private capital firms, I'm speculating. Please don't anybody sue me. I got 3 quarters to my name, 75 cents. I think it's Redbird Capital. I have a suspicion. All Good says Redbird is most definitely is one. I have a suspicion about CBS Global Sky. What is it called again? Skywatch Global Paramount. Is it Skywatch Global Paramount? I've had a suspicion, other people have had a suspicion that the Larry Ellison and everything, that they want a piece of the Big Ten. And this is as close as they're going to get to a piece of the Big Ten. So in Redbird is a private equity firm that either invested in the Global Paramount part of the merger or the Skywatch, whatever name of the other thing is. They have a big stake in that. So I'm going to go ahead and guess it's Redbird on one of them. If I had to guess another entity, Skydance. What did I say? Skywatch? Skydance. Skydance. Thank you, guys. Skydance. Skydance is about to buy Fox out. Come on, Greg. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Skydance. If it ain't, that's my number one guess. Skydance Global Paramount with Redbird Capital. The other one is, my other guess is something to do with Amazon. Somebody connected with Amazon Prime. They tried so hard to get a piece of the Big Ten content. They overpaid, they overoffered, and the Big Ten still turned them down. And I'm wondering if Amazon, tied to some other private equity firm, some sort of relationship to a private capital firm, is trying to get in on the Big Ten action. Those are my two guesses. but Redbird Capital being the top one. Wow. I'm going to see here if there's any other. This is a statement. Breaking news, breaking news. The Big Ten has come out with a statement on ESPN's reporting. And they definitely are not denying it. Ben Portnoy, Sports Business Journal, statement from the Big Ten on ESPN's reporting on the league considering a private equity infusion. Discussions on this subject have been held as far back as the spring, while the Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti has publicly said the league was exploring private equity in recent months. This is Silent Tony Petitti. Our membership has clearly expressed the need to modernize the operations and structure of our conference to ensure that the Big Ten remains the best position to offer the highest level of athletic and academic excellence in a rapidly evolving landscape. Over a year ago, we initiated a comprehensive evaluation of our practices to identify partnerships that could secure the financial stability of our member institutions and allow us not only protect but expand opportunities for our student athletes. This is an ongoing process, and we remain committed to finding a path that strengthens the conference for our future. So, definitely not a denial. Definitely not a denial. Holy smokes. It's always the quiet ones that you got to watch for. The American Conference, sponsored by Saudi Arabia. Look, the American Conference, they're working up something. You know that, Kenneth. You know Tim Pernetti. He's going to be out. He's going to be Tumasta, Silent Tony making moves. Again, nothing, this is, we're going to know in the next couple of weeks. It sounds like by ESPN reporting. I've got a choice to make here. Should we open up the phone lines and talk about this, or should we, let's go through our picks real quick. All right? Let's go through these selections. I'm going to go first. Hold on here. Let me get these games up. We are going to make our picks, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. I think that's the best way to go about it. Big breaking news. Big Ten in deep discussions about a private capital, private equity, whatever you want to call it, infusion. We did say here at Peek Around the Corner, we thought that 2025 was going to be the invasion of private equity, private capital. As you see, we had a whole bunch of the invasion of private equity. We just did not know when or how it was going to come in, and it might be coming in at a massive conference level. Massive news. Okay, hold on, everybody. Let's go through our picks. I really want to get to your phone calls. I really want to know what you guys think about this. Again, breaking news. Breaking news. Silent Tony out there securing $2 billion for the Big Ten, while you are all asking him about the playoffs. Playoffs? You? Okay. All right. Let's do this thing. Who wants to go first? Am I going first or you guys going first? I don't remember. I don't want to be called a cheater. All right? I don't want to be called a cheater. Who wants to go first? I think you guys, okay, I think you guys do go first. Okay, let's get through this because we got a lot to talk about here. Lots to talk about. My goodness. Breaking news. The Big Ten, at least $2 billion. Okay, guys, you guys gotta make your picks. Even though you've got all this news circling around your head, does Duke cover the -2.5 point spread versus California? Starting the poll, you guys know how it works. We're going to go through this quickly. We got breaking news, the Big Ten in talks with 3 private equity, private capital firms. Cash infusion. I'm guessing it's going to be a partnership that's going to try to expand their branding and opportunities internationally. I could be wrong, but I think that's where we're heading. 5 seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. You all took Duke. Again, we're going to go through this fast. I apologize. You can file a complaint to the complaint office about how fast we're doing this picks. Does Nebraska cover the -11.5 point spread versus Michigan State? And of course, I misspelled Nebraska and everything else. I'm trying to do this fast. The voting starts now. Cash infusion of 9 figures to each Big Ten school. That's $100 million or more. Vox Quindaro, we do our best work under the gun. All right. Does the little general run the complaint department at PATC? No, I do. Little general's too busy. She doesn't have time to listen to you all complain. Well, I'm the patient man. I can listen to you all. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All of you, and 55% of you, take Nebraska. Duke first, Nebraska second, Washington and Maryland. Again, when we get through our picks, we're going back to the breaking news. Big Ten, private equity, private capital, over $2 billion. The Big Ten is going to make a decision in the next few weeks. Does Washington cover -6.5 point spread versus Maryland? Yes, Washington. No, Maryland. Voting begins now. Great for Trojan. Okay, if the playoffs are expanded to 24 without a bids and the ACC is ripped apart, I wouldn't have a problem with 5 or 6 game annual agreement with the Big Ten and Notre Dame. I've got another question for you, Great for Trojan. I got another question for you, Grateful Trojan, but let me ask it here after we take down this vote. 3, 2, 1. You all took Washington. You all took Washington. I got a question for you, Grateful Trojan. Let's pretend for a moment that the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan get on board, USC get on board, all these schools agreed to this tier payment. This has been being socialized for months, right? And this deal happens. What is Notre Dame's reaction to this deal? Grateful Trojan. What is Notre Dame's reaction to this deal? Miami, Florida State. Does Miami cover the -4.5 point spread versus Florida State? Yes, Miami. No, you want Florida State. Notre Dame to the Big Ten for $200 million a year. Obviously, Notre Dame would be at the very top of the tier, right? With Michigan and Ohio State. Right? When it comes to the revenue tiers, right? Al Woody says Notre Dame wants in. Five more seconds on the vote. Massive, massive game in Tallahassee, Florida. I believe the Seminoles are going to be coming out, playing great ball. But the PATC family says no. They're taking Miami to cover. They're taking Miami. So far, the PATC family has taken all the favorites. Okay, we only got 10 games, so here we go. Does Texas A&M cover the -14.5 point spread versus Mississippi State? Tony, the head priest at Notre Dame, that is Father Flanagan. I don't know what his name is. It's not Flanagan. The head priest at Notre Dame is in the limo headed to Chicago, allegedly. Okay, I'm giving you 3 more seconds on the vote. Again, we're rushing the vote. 3, 2, 1. No. The people have spoken. They do not believe that Texas A&M is going to cover against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Texas Tech, who has looked unbelievable. Does Texas Tech cover the -11.5 point spread versus Houston? Yes, you got the Red Raiders. No, you got the Cougars. Again, after we're done with these picks, we are going to open up the phone lines. I got to hear your voices. What do you think? Do you think the Big Ten's actually going to do this deal? You think they're going to pick one of these private capital firms? Do you think they can make an agreement within the conference to have these different tier payments? Can they come to an agreement? Will my Minnesota Golden Gophers be okay making less than the Buckeyes and the Wolverines and those Nittany Lions? What if the Big Ten says to Minnesota, hey, Minnesota, you got to make a little bit less than those evil Badgers, those evil neighbors east of you. What do you think, Minnesota? What do you think? You're going to take that deal, Minnesota? You're going to take that deal? You know what I would say? You know what I would say to Tony, Silent Tony, if he came up with that proposition? I would say, hell no. Hell no. Okay. The voting has ended. 68% says Texas Tech. Texas Tech. You guys took the Red Raiders, and I don't blame you. I do not blame you. Does Louisville cover the -6.5 point spread? Again, I apologize that we're rushing through this. I'm not letting you guys think. I'm not letting you marinate. You guys have a huge complaint if you do not do well against the spread this week. I understand you. I have empathy for you. But too bad. Too bad, too bad, too bad. The voting begins. Louisville, UVA. Who do you got? Vox Quindaro. Betcha the Yormark Twins are losing their minds trying to get Kansas to sign on the PEPC dotted line. Houston Cougars, pretty good, Rowan Phillips. They got a pretty good defense. They got a pretty good defense. Christopher Hooter is probably better to go out with one's gut and not simmer on it too long. So fast is just fine. Okay, voting ends. 66% says no. Wow. Wow. The PATC community is hot on Virginia. I will get to the super chats as quick as I can. I apologize. We got 3 more games we got to get to. And then I'm going to be making my picks lickety split. It's only going to take me a second to make my picks. All right. Does Texas cover the -6.5 point spread versus Florida? If you vote yes, you're taking the Longhorns. If you vote no, you're taking the Gators. Again, when we're done with these selections, we are going to open up the phone lines, get to you super chats as quick as I can. We got to talk about the big breaking news. Big Ten is considering a pretty damn big private capital deal. It sounds like they're pretty serious about it. Tony Petitti came out with a comment today, and he definitely did not deny the story from ESPN. But they got to get Michigan. They've got to get Ohio State on board. You got to feed them enough money to get it on board. 59% says yes, the Longhorns do cover against the Florida Gators. Vanderbilt at Alabama. We've got 2 more games left. Vanderbilt at Alabama. Does Bama cover spread versus Vandy? Yes, you got Bama. No, you got Vandy. 10.5 point spread. Amazing Blue. If the Big Ten takes the capital deal, then they go first and take a big scoop. Yeah, you know. You know, that's a pretty interesting comment by Mr. Wolverine. The Wolverines are going to have to, they're going to have to be okay, though, with this deal. They're going to have to get, you know, they're going to have to, again, this private capital deal leans on the massive value of Ohio State, Michigan, and the other big branded Big Ten schools. It leans on Michigan. So Michigan's going to have to get more. of it. But they're going to have to be okay with it. Now, I think Michigan would be okay with it because Michigan is a very, I don't know how else to say it, but very pro Big Ten. They don't want to change their neighborhood. I think they probably want to protect the Big Ten from these things that are going on the outside. But we'll see. All right. I'm going to give you 5 seconds on the vote. This is close. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 53% says yes. Bama will cover. Alabama will cover. The last game. Here we go. And then I'm going to go through my picks real quick. Does Cincinnati cover the minus 1.5 point spread versus Iowa State? Oh boy, this is going to be mighty interesting. What is the PATC Einsteins going to do? Does Cincinnati cover the 1.5 point spread versus the Cyclones? Yes, you're taking the Bearcats. No, you're taking the Cyclones. The voting goes now. Vox Quindaro, no, 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 no. Kenneth Maynard, upset special. Holy smokes. What is going on with you guys? It's a landslide. And I think you've got the wrong side. The PATC family has taken the Iowa State Cyclones in a landslide. Holy smokes, guys. All right. Okay, here we go. Duke in California. I am taking Duke. Michigan State and Nebraska. I am taking Michigan State. Washington and Maryland. I am taking Washington. Miami and Florida State. I am taking the Seminoles. Florida State, baby. Florida State. Mississippi State, Texas A&M. I'm taking Texas A&M. Texas Tech in Houston. I got to take the Red Raiders. The Red Raiders are going to smash. Virginia and Louisville. I got to take Virginia. I agree with you all. Texas and Florida. I am taking the Gators. They're going to have one more big effort for Billy Napier. They lose a close one. Vanderbilt and Alabama. I'm taking Vandy. I am taking Vandy to cover. Iowa State, Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati. So, we pretty much disagree on everything. We both got Duke. I got Michigan State. You got Nebraska. We both got Washington. I got Florida State. You got Miami. I got Texas A&M. You got Mississippi State. We both have Texas Tech. We both have Virginia. I got Florida. You all got Texas. I got Vandy. You got Bama. I got Cincinnati. You got Iowa State. So we disagree about 6 of the games. All right. Here we go. Yes. I think so, Grateful Trojan. I think so. Yes. Not a sweetheart deal in, not like a scheduling agreement. If Notre Dame wants in, they got to come in. All the way in. They got to be a full-time member. But if they do, they get paid along with, at the same tier as the Buckeyes in Michigan. And possibly USC and Oregon. And Penn State. Okay, okay, before we get to your phone calls, we got some more super chats. Kenneth Maynard, Tim Pernetti, ESPN are working to make the American the top tier G6 conference and number 5 with private capital. Consolidations of brands come in the G6. And I think there is going to be some movement in the G6 in the G6 in the years ahead. I agree with that. Kenneth Maynard, thank you so much for your super chat, for your generosity, for your $5 holla. Esmus Talks, Notre Dame boosters offer to give $100 million to cover the difference so that they can stay independent. I don't know about that. I know you're joking. I know you are. Thank you, Mr. Rutgers, Esmus Talks. I appreciate it. Another super chat. Has been $2 billion. Now the report is at least $2 billion. Heck, the Big Ten is $500 million sitting in reserves. What is the plan for the big bag of cash? By the way, thank you for the super chat, has been, but it is not $500 million in reserve anymore. The latest report is about $215 million. In fact, the last 4 years, the Big Ten Conference has ran a deficit. Last year, it was $14 million. So, there was a report out there that said the Big Ten had $450 million cash on hand. The latest report is it's not that close to that anymore. So just to put that out there. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but if you want to Google it, investigate it, I think the latest report is about $220 million, but it's really hard to know. Thank you, has been. Thank you for the $5 holla. I appreciate it. Let me check if there's been any more sudden reporting on this. NBC sources confirm to NBC Sports that the Big Ten has been talking to multiple private capital firms to potentially infuse upwards of $2 billion. The ESPN reporting was at least $2 billion. Unequal revenue sharing is part of the deal. Let me see if there's any more reporting before we get to your phone calls. Okay. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. Big breaking news.
From. All right.
Rick, the floor is yours. What are you thinking, man? Huge news, nothing official, but we're going to find out either way in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for calling, sir.
Doesn't this necessitate the SEC to respond similarly?
Good question. Very good question. They probably will respond. But they may not have to be real quick about it, though. What are your thoughts?
I think they may not be as prepared as they need to be to respond. I think I agree with you. I think they'll respond equivalently, but I'm not sure they've moved along the train line far enough, to be equal to or anywhere near where the Big Ten is right now, because it looks like the Big Ten's a few weeks away. And then the other part was
Yep.
the other part of the other question was, what do you think? Do you think that there is a pro rata provision from the capital investors for teams that are added to the Big Ten? Or could this be a deal where only the current 18 teams keep all that money and cut out the newcomers?
Okay, so, well, that's a great question. All right, let's do a little pretending here, Rick. Okay? Now, everybody in the chat room, we're just speculating. This is pretending. Let's say that Georgia Tech, the Big Ten, a lot of schools want Georgia Tech into the conference. Okay? We're pretending here. All right? And Georgia Tech is like, okay, we'll take we'll be happy to take a lower tier type of money, from the 18 schools. We'll be happy to be lower tier, right? Still going to be a lot more than what the ACC is going to pay them. But then Georgia Tech says, what about that cash infusion? How do we get in on that? What would, at that point, this private capital company, what at that point could be offer more to them to say, yes, we'll give Georgia Tech $100 million? Like, what else more could they get?
Or the Big Ten could play hardball and say, well, first of all, you're not coming in at full freight. You're only coming in at a half share. And number two, you're not getting any capital money until 2047. You
Jeez.
Still want to come?
But I don't know.
I need an answer. You still want to come?
I don't know. But look, I think the Big Ten, though, I really don't have that. That's a great question.
I'm saying if they want to play hardball, they could pull that on Notre Dame. They could say, hey,
They're not.
you can come in and get just like Michigan and Ohio State, but you got 3 weeks to pull the trigger. Maybe
this deal is written. God, I don't know. My speculation is going to be moronic. So, but let's say in this tiered Big Ten tiered revenue, let's say that my Minnesota Golden Gophers are at one of the bottom tiers, and there's an X amount of dollars that Minnesota knows they're going to make every year. And by the way, the grant of rights gets put out to 2046 because the grant of rights right now is 2036. But the next media negotiations is coming up in 2030. So this isn't going to cement their current media deal like what happened to the ACC schools.
Right.
So the Big Ten's going to go in their renegotiations. But let's say there's a number there that's associated with the Gophers, a certain percentage of the total Big Ten, and then there is some sort of number by the Gophers and some sort of ledger, some sort of spreadsheet somewhere that this private capital firm says, every time Minnesota gets $50 million in revenue, we know that we're going to get 5% of that because we are 1/20th of the total revenue. We're 1/20th of the whole operation of the Big Ten enterprises, they're going to call it. And so if we bring in another team, let's say it's Georgia Tech, and we're just going to use the number $50 million, we're going to get 5% of that as well. So maybe it's written in there where, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I see what you're getting at, but I guess where I'm getting at is if they come in after this deal is done, Georgia Tech, let's say, if they come in after the deal is done, you don't get to come in after the deal is done and say you're entitled to part of this.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't around when the deal was made.
Yeah.
That's the same theory the Big Ten has on Washington and Oregon and Big Ten Network.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't around when the deal was made.
Yeah.
So it might be an incentive for schools to say, hey, if they're in the ACC, well, maybe if they're in another conference, but it may be an incentive to say, hey, we want to get in before you do this private capital deal.
Yeah,
we want
that's
in on
true.
it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's stopping us is the money. And now, if we get in on the capital, on the private capital money, we've got the money to get out. We can use that money to get out of the ACC.
True.
Okay, next caller.
Beautiful. Beautiful call, sir. And of course, Ross Dellinger reminds us.
From
William, can you hold on for just a moment, please?
Yep.
I appreciate it. And of course, Ross Dellinger does remind us, like it said in the ESPN article, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports on 3 says, a note of caution. This is far from finalized and might not reach the finish line. At least two schools, Ohio State and Michigan, are, for a variety of reasons, pushing back against the proposal that the Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti has been socializing since the spring. So, just like what ESPN reported, Buckeyes and the Wolverines are not on board yet, and they may never be on board yet. And you can't do the deal unless those two are on board. Maybe they're pushing back because they want more of a sweetener, or maybe they're just pushing back because a variety of reasons, like Ross Dellinger said. So, a note of caution. This ain't finalized. The attempt is being made. It sounds like most Big Ten schools are for it. But again, it's really hard to get everybody on board. The bigger the conference, more different interests are at stake. Go ahead, William. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Well, thank you, Greg, for this for these calls today. Great breaking news. So I was actually going to call about the CFP, but this comes up, so we have to talk about this.
Yep.
But my first comment is that the schools probably want something like this finalized because it said that it was going to pool all money. So media rights, money that they get from private equity endeavors, and other stuff. So 100% to what was alluded before with the previous caller, I think they want to get this done beforehand so that those financials are done using the $2 billion as just a benchmark. Let's just say each of the schools are getting $100 million per year, and another school comes in. It might be the case that there is some pro rata for that extra $100 million, and that school just won't be entitled for it for a period of time, but it won't just be the money that the conference is getting from the media. It'll just be everything. So I think that's what the article was alluding to as to cleaning the Big Ten up as an entity, so that all money is being covered under one umbrella. And maybe that's a way to address what some of the lower schools, let's just say Maryland, Purdue, Rutgers, they have a concern. Florida State or Miami is going to come in. They're going to want a higher piece of the pie. Maybe it is that any school that comes after the fact gets either placed in a center tier, regardless of who they are, except for obviously Notre Dame. For some period of time, they get a lower percentage, whether it's 10%, 50%, or whatever of what that tier is. And that's a cleaner way of addressing all the money coming in.
It could. Now, I just lost it. Shoot, I just lost it. Okay, so I'm gonna put this up on the board. When it comes to what is included, the setup being discussed, sources said, is that this will essentially be the formation of a new commercial entity within the Big Ten that would house all revenue generation, such as media rights, sponsorships, and league revenue streams. So this ain't going to touch, obviously this is not going to touch the incredible revenue streams that the Ohio State Buckeyes and Michigan and Penn, you've got your conference payouts, your conference money, and then you got your local money, right? Your local stuff that is going on. This would be more of what the Big Ten generates and then gives to the schools. So, but anyways, go ahead.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the schools, and I think that's how you address the schools that are concerned about bringing in a bigger brand. Well, that bigger brand is going to have to take a lower percentage of everything, regardless of who that brand is, and maybe eventually, maybe after 5 years or 10 years, or maybe even up to 2046, which I doubt. At that point, they get placed into their appropriate tier, whatever that may be. Obviously, you make a separate case for Notre Dame where they just automatically go in, but yeah, that's a way of addressing that.
Yeah.
And then just wanted to make a comment on the CFP with the 4-4-4 scenario and the 24. If you have it at 4-4-4, that's 16 out of the 24 potential teams going into the CFP.
Yep.
I mean, if you remember what I think Ross Dellinger or it was somebody else posted, that in a 16-team scenario, I think both the SEC and the Big Ten most years had 5, and then it gave whatever number it was, 3 or 2 for the Big 12 and the ACC, like 2 point something, whatever that number was. If you're there, then for the Big Ten and the SEC, there's really absolutely no difference between that and a 1+20 or the 4+23, whatever, with all at-larges, aside from the fact that you're putting a bottom on the Big 12 and ACC. So I can't believe that there's no way that the Big Ten is pushing for this unless they want the automatic qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they can get their playing games. Because otherwise, at that point, might as well just keep it all at largest, since it won't change anything for the SEC and Big Ten. But that's the only thing I was thinking with that. The Big Ten has got to still be looking for doing those playing games, and if you give everybody 4, then everybody can do the same number of playing games. The Big 12, ACC, they don't feel left out or that they can't make equal revenue from those extra games. And potentially, obviously, the SEC is getting most of whatever those at-larges is. But I still think that the AQs are in play.
Yeah, I think they are too. All righty, man. I appreciate the phone call,
Right,
William.
you.
Call again, sir.
All right. Bye.
You got it.
Thank you.
Everybody hang on for a moment here. Hang on for a moment. I do want to give an opinion on something that is being said out there. The question is being asked, why? Why would the Big Ten or any other conference do this? It better not be about paying players. Why are they doing this? Because private capital is easy to get for most of these universities. This is why I've been saying, and why I've said today, I would be shocked if the Big Ten does this. And it definitely is not a done deal. Ross Dellinger's just reminded us all. ESPN report says it's not a done deal. It may not happen. But if it did happen, I would be shocked that I would be shocked if this happened with a private capital firm that did not have connections strongly tied to media in some way or form. Because it can't just be about the cash. It has to be with somebody who can bring in more money when it comes to sponsorship, in media distribution, different platforms, things of that nature, in my opinion.
From
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. Appreciate it.
Hi, Greg. Enjoying the show. Got to it a little late, but trying to play catch up here.
No problem.
Okay, the private capital. Okay, this really isn't news other than someone threw a number out. Is that fair?
And we're going to have a decision in a few weeks, it sounds like. It's going to be a yes or no. It's crunch time. That's the other news of it. Yep.
So, okay, someone's going to give you a big bag of money, and, they're going to want a rate of return on this or something.
Yep.
What are we going to do with the money?
What are the schools going to do with the money?
Is it for stadium renovations and facilities and stuff like that?
I think it's probably have to do with using that money to build in some of those schools I think are going to use that money to build in new seat licensing, very high end valuable new suites,
skyboxes or whatever.
Yeah. So you get a return on that investment right off the bat. But I think some of it probably has to do with renovations and things of that nature. I'm gonna keep saying this. It can't be just about the cash infusion. It's got to be this private equity, private capital firm. We believe that they will be able to bring in more sponsorships, different sponsorships, and we are going to see our revenue rise because of this engagement, this partnership we're basically giving them 1/20th of the slice of the pie. So they're going to want to grow the pie, whatever this private capital is. So it can't be just about the first cash infusion. It's got to be, we believe that this partnership is going to give us more revenues downstream. But I could be wrong. Go ahead, sir.
Well, what sort of came to my mind, though, I know at the last few renovations at LSU, that the last thing they want to do is go to the state and get the government involved, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's way down on the list. So the Tiger Athletics Foundation, in the case of LSU, raises the funds, runs the project, right? And just does it, right? And they do their own bidding system and their own quality control, and they don't have the state, they're not involved, right?
Yeah.
And LSU's not unique there. And then once those seats are paid off, they go from Tiger Athletic seats, I think, they call them the tradition fund seats, and then they seat it back to the university. So I was just kind of thinking maybe this is just a bulk grab, kind of a cleaner way for everybody to do facility upgrades.
Yeah. And by the way, maybe they just use it for a debt payment. I mean, a lot of these athletic departments, if you look at their ledger of spending, of expenditures, they've got like, so what you do as an athletic department, you try to pay down your debt as fast as possible, right? Because the sooner you pay down your debt, it just works out long term, just like a mortgage on a house. So
but
that is why
the debt holder is like the Tiger Athletic Foundation. It's your buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So what it's like, so it could be, there's multiple reasons. Like I've been saying, these athletic departments, even the biggest, richest ones, they never want to take a step backward. They don't want to cut programs. They don't want to cut back. So this $20 million rev share that was put in the middle of all these athletic departments, it's been a challenge to meet that commitment, even with the richest athletic departments, because they don't want to cut back on anything else that they're doing.
So you're thinking it might be a subsidy for this house settlement, kind of, until we grow the pot a little bit, and we can recover it. And make our way.
And you had athletic departments that were still trying to recover from COVID, right? So it's, I mean, and I've been saying it. It's not just a lot of ACC and Big 12 schools. It's the bottom half of the SEC and the Big 10 schools. We're all looking for that extra quarter. And but again, it better not. If this thing happens, it better not just be about the upfront cash infusion. It has to be a relationship that revenue streams can grow larger because of the relationship you have with this private capital firm. But that's my opinion.
Well, and I like that. I'm just having a hard time visualizing what is okay, he's not just bringing money. What else is he bringing?
Well, okay, so like the WWE, they made a deal with Netflix, right? They got all this money from Netflix. They also got a sponsorship deal with Netflix. Netflix said, not only are we going to pay you all this money, but we got connections to these sponsorships, and they're going to sign on, and they're going to sponsor WWE. Now you're going to get this pocket of money. And now WWE, I'm not a fan of WWE, but I'm an AEW guy. But WWE, they throw all these, they throw all this sponsorship on their wrestling ring, and they've got new sponsorships, and they're making all this sorts of money.
I guess so.
And when you go internationally, when you try to push your content internationally, You try to get new sponsorship. You got a new revenue stream. The Premier League, not only are they getting paid because of the media deals that they have here in America, but they've got new sponsors sponsoring their Premier League teams and league. I just know, and that was all that was done with private equity firms helping, by the way. So that's why I think Sankey's talking to Goldman Sachs. That's why I think the Big Ten is doing what they're doing. I'm going to put up on the screen here. We got news today. Big 12 expands global footprint with football game in London in 2026. This became official today. The Big 12 Conference today announced that Arizona State, Kansas will square off in the first ever Union Jack Classic. It's got a title, it's got sponsorship, new revenue stream coming on in. That's what I think the Big Ten, the SEC are looking at. And for example, your Southeastern Conference, we're sitting here October 1st, 2025. October 1st in 2035, Christopher Hooter, there's going to be some people out there in Europe, in the Middle East, that are going to be wearing LSU hats, jackets. They're going to be watching your team. They might have to pay a premium to watch the game wherever they are in UAE or in Saudi Arabia or in Germany, whatever, and it's going to be a new revenue stream for LSU. That is the goal for the Southeastern Conference 10 years from now.
Well, one of the problems with that, of course, is time zone, right? You know, I mean, Athens is 8 hours ahead of the Central Time Zone. So
Yep,
you know,
yep.
if you're kicking off at 6 p.m., it's 2 a.m. in the morning, right? So
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how you get around that. Now, is the Big 12 game in London in lieu of the Irish game, or in addition to? They're doing both.
Addition. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
cool. Hey, well, good for them. Huh. Well, go figure.
Yep.
But I think I expect the SEC and the Big are going to kind of do something similar, right? I don't.
Well,
I
again,
kind of think this is a wash.
well, yeah. I mean, well, first of all, we don't know if the Big Ten's actually going to do this, right?
Correct.
We don't know if all the schools are going to agree. So it's you know, this may not happen, but we're going to find out in the next few weeks. The Big 12, they looked into things and they eventually could not get it done. The Big 10 might not be able to get it done. So, and if they
Well,
get
you
it
know,
done,
once you let the bank in the hen house, right?
yeah.
You're stuck with him. So
Yeah.
it's a big decision. Well, it's interesting, right? So yeah,
Yep.
I'm curious to see what happens, and that maybe they go small and not big. What?
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to let you go here. We got more calls coming on in. Appreciate it, Mr. Hooter.
Okay. All right, buddy. All right,
got
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Somebody just dropped off the line. Give us a call back. Again, Matt Brown is asking the question, we critique private businesses who take out a loan or try to raise money just to meet the existing payroll obligations. You raise capital because you want to grow. I want to better understand what the vision is to grow with the cash infusion. I have been trying to explain.
Call from
Fred?
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. This is Fred. I was expecting the Big 12 really be the first team to go to private equity, with Brent Yormark really wanting to get his league involved so that they become one of the Power Three. But my understanding was they couldn't get enough of all of the schools on board with that. So what the Big Ten were to accomplish, this would be an incredible thing for the Big Ten potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And all the schools were on board with it. Now let me ask you this: if your hunch is correct and Larry Ellison is involved, would that make University of Michigan a little more likely to find a means to support it?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
If your hunch is correct that Larry Ellison is involved in this, would that make the University of Michigan and their relationship with Larry a little more likely to find a way to do this?
I don't know. Let me pull something here real quick, if you don't mind. Can I take a? I want to show something here. We got breaking news. Speaking of Michigan, Jordan Acker, as a regent, I believe selling off Michigan's precious public university assets would betray our responsibility to students and taxpayers. I will firmly oppose any such effort, and I hope colleagues at Michigan State and Ohio State will stand with me as well. So there's Jordan Acker, a regent. Now, of course, in the report that ESPN laid out, Michigan would not be selling any of their assets. It would be basically, right now, the Big Ten has, when they do the revenue, when they hand out the revenue, it goes 19 different slices. The 18 schools in the Big Ten Conference gets a slice. Basically, you're adding a slice. Basically, you're adding a slice in return for cash infusion and whatever partnership, whatever this equity company could possibly do for the Big Ten in the future. So really, the Michigan ain't selling off anything. But this is why it's so hard to do anything. You've got 18 universities, you got all these regents, you got all these presidents, and I mean, it is a cumbersome type. It is. Anyways, go ahead, caller. You brought up Michigan. I just wanted to show you what a regent said. Maybe if it is Ellison, maybe that does help, but maybe it's not Ellison either. That's just my guess. Yeah, and we do know, caller, we do know that there are 3 private capital companies that are still talking with the Big Ten, trying to get a deal done. So, but go ahead, sir.
Okay, just out of curiosity, was Redbird the one that employs the board member for Florida State University?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I was trying to remember. I don't know that would have anything to do
with
with
Weatherford. Somebody in the chat room, let us know if we're correct. But I think it's Weatherford who is part of the Redbird company. But let me know. I think so, sir.
At this point, I'm like the average fan, and we don't even understand it enough to know what the intelligent questions are to ask. We have to trust the Big Ten and their leadership to know if this is a good thing for the league. They won't surrender control.
No,
I'm pretty confident of that.
No,
there's certain risk involved. But if the report is correct, then it's Michigan and Ohio State are the two that kind of are still holding back. They've gotten farther than anybody else to making this happen.
Yeah.
So I guess my feeling is, if it doesn't happen, no big deal.
Yeah.
We'll go on to whatever the next issue is.
Yeah.
But if it does happen, then it gets even more exciting. What does that mean? And
yes.
I don't have a clue what it means exactly.
And even if it doesn't happen, there's going to be another effort. Maybe they have to sweeten the deal. Maybe they have to change something. These type of deals have already changed, it sounds like, over the last year, where private equity would try to present something to these commissioners, and they would look at it and say, nah, that doesn't work for us. So this deal looks a little bit different. All the decision making is still in the hands of the Big Ten presidents. You're not selling any of your ownership of your athletic department to the private capital firm. So maybe if it's a no, maybe it's going to be a yes a year from now, 2 years from now.
Right. If it's a no, not now. They're still going to want to get in, and they're going to figure out a way at some point in time. But it may be, a year or two down. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think it offers at least some potential to say that the league is close to being together on moving forward. And if it doesn't happen now, they're still knowing they need to do some things for the next generation of what we're getting into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Beautiful call. Beautiful call. Big breaking news. Big breaking news. Big Ten looking in. Big cash infusion. Partnership. Edward the Auburn Tiger. What would happen to the Buckeyes and Michigan brands if they joined the SEC? They would explode. Edward the Auburn Tiger, they're already the biggest brands in college sports. They're already the biggest brands in college sports. And whatever happens in this situation, neither of those universities are going to be joining the Southeastern Conference. Especially Michigan, but not even Ohio State. Now, maybe sometime down the line, there's going to be a breakage of the top SEC programs and the Big Ten programs, and they join, and it's a new conference with the top brands, 20 teams, 24. But there is zero chance that the Buckeyes and Wolverines are going to be joining the Southeastern Conference. That's not a shot at you. That's not a shot at the Southeastern Conference. But if you think if there's any chance of Michigan joining the Southeastern Conference, you just don't know Michigan or Ohio State, really. Seemed to me the big news is not the private capital. The true big news is the unequal profit distribution associated with the influx of private. Might be a huge problem. I've been talking about this for over a year. I've been told many different times over that this new tier payment has been socialized throughout the Big Ten. This is well down the road. So it might become a huge problem, but none of this is a surprise. Like the Big Ten schools, they understand if you do a private capital deal, you got all this money coming on in. Of course, the biggest, most valuable brands are going to get more of a slice of the pie. Weatherford Capital is a small firm not aligned with Redbird. Thank you, Rod Nix. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I want to thank Expedition Greg. Expedition Greg, thank you for keeping your head on a swivel. He sent me... we're going to show this here. Kyle Walters, a private equity analyst, pitch book. The potential of the Big Ten accepting private capital would be a groundbreaking occasion in the world of college sports. Private capital firms, typical private equity firms, have increasingly sought investments in the professional sports world, buoyed by rising valuations and substantial, predictable revenues. For college sports, again, this is Kyle Walters, private equity analyst of PitchBook. For college sports and the Big Ten specifically, it's not as simple as the pros and investments into the space by private equity firms would take a different shape from those in professional sports. including the potential of the grant of rights. Such a deal may be the tip of the iceberg and prompt other leagues, including the ACC, which has also held preliminary discussions to follow suit. However, the vast majority of the schools in the Big Ten are nonprofit organizations, as is the league itself, which could bring about separate array of concerns. Regardless, a deal of this nature felt inevitable, and the time will tell what comes of it. So there it is. Kyle Walters. My goodness. Big breaking news. Big breaking news. The Big Ten looking at a private equity, private capital deal of at least $2 billion. We do not know if it's going to happen. It may not happen. Ross Dellinger has cautioned us that Michigan and Ohio State are pushing back on the current deal. Are they leveraging? Well, they've got a lot of leverage, right? Are they looking to sweeten the deal internally, or are they just against this type of deal? $2 billion is chump change. All right, guys. I want to thank you for joining us here. We did our selections. We did 10 games. I want to thank those who gave us a donation during this live show. George Holton, the Osceola Trucka, John Teal, Kenneth Maynor, OPD Dunn, S. McTox, and Has Been. Thank you guys for your donations, for your generosity, for helping us keep the lights on here. I do very much appreciate it. Without your donations, we would not be able to give you the content that we can almost each and every day, 365 days of the year. So I appreciate it very much. I appreciate the great phone calls, the comments that we received. Thank you, Amazing Blue. Movie Time Blues. I hate this. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. We don't know if it's going to happen. But again, in this reporting today, we did learn that it sounds like the Big Ten is going to come up with a decision in the next few weeks. So we're going to know yes or no. If it's a no, I think it's a no for now. Maybe not in the future. I have had live shows during this year where I've looked straight in the camera and I said, private equity, private capital is coming. It is absolutely coming down the road. And if it's a no this year, if it's a no next year, eventually it's going to be a yes. And the reason why I keep saying that, because I keep getting told that. From the money purchase, the people, the boosters, they're saying it's going to happen. That's number one. Number two, this whole Super League thing, the money that's being offered, trying to create a 70-team league, whatever, there is massive resistance in the Big Ten and the SEC on that. So, to be blunt, one of the motivations that the Big Ten, the reason why they're doing this, besides cash infusion, to push their product, their content internationally, to push their brand, the same thing that the Southeastern Conference is looking at doing. Another motivation is, if the Big Ten did something like this, if they actually acted on this, then there's not going to be any more talk about a Super League or any of this other stuff. It's going to absolutely squash it. So that's another motivation for the Big Ten. But again, this is not a done deal. It might not happen. It might not happen, but it's out there. ESPN reporting, and Tony Petitti did not deny this at all. He put out a comment out there. We covered it. Tony Petitti says we're going to continue to look to strengthen, to protect the Big Ten Conference. We'll see what's going to happen. And again, if the Big Ten is this far down the road, and it might not happen, but if they are this far down the road, well, the Southeastern Conference is not too far behind. The Big 12 ain't too far behind. The American ain't too far behind. The new Pac-12 may not be that far behind. So, and the ACC, now, again, if the ACC does something like this, locks in their biggest brands, locks in North Carolina. We talked about how North Carolina is pro-private equity, pro-private capital. We've talked about it. You remember anyways. So, in Duke. This is right up their alley. We are going to continue to talk about this tomorrow, on Thursday, and on Friday. Talk about the games that are coming up this weekend. I want to thank you all. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications. Before you leave, please smash the like button if you've liked our content. Private capital, at least $2 billion coming into the Big Ten. It may happen. It may not happen. But whatever happens, we are going to cover it here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please y'all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.